Today on Sugar Spun Run, I'll be showing you how to make my mini dark chocolate cupcakes with a salted caramel frosting. Hey Sugar Spun Bakers, Sam here, and today I am so excited to be sharing another carefully tested, well-researched, and perfected recipe. Today's recipe is sort of a follow-up to the recipe I shared earlier this week. I just shared a caramel frosting recipe. You'll want to make yourself a batch of that, because we're going to be using it to top these mini dark chocolate cupcakes. These are super simple to make, so let's go ahead and get started by preheating our oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Next, in a mixing bowl, we are going to combine 1 2/3 cup of granulated sugar, 1 1/2 cups of all-purpose flour, and to make these dark chocolate cupcakes, we're going to be using 2/3 cup of dark cocoa powder. If you cannot find dark cocoa powder, you can substitute a different cocoa powder instead, but they are obviously not going to have the same rich, dark color and flavor. We'll also add 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, 1 1/2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 1/4 teaspoons of baking soda, and a teaspoon of salt. We'll whisk these ingredients together until they are completely combined. Next, we'll add 1/2 cup of either vegetable or canola oil. We'll also be adding 1 large egg. Ideally, this should be at room temperature. And we are also going to be adding 1 large egg yolk. So that white you can just discard, we just want the yolk. We'll also add a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and we're going to want to stir those ingredients together until they're completely combined as well. Now this can certainly be done by hand, but just to make the process a little bit easier, I like to use my electric hand mixer. And we'll just stir everything together until all of the ingredients are nicely combined and everything is completely moistened. The mixture will be a little bit dry and crumbly, but there should be no dry ingredients or cocoa powder flour mixture remaining. This is looking pretty good, so now we are going to add 2/3 cup of whole milk. I don't like to add it all at once. I'm going to add it a bit gradually. We'll stir that in until it's completely combined. Next, we are going to add 1 cup of hot coffee. Now, I really love using coffee because the flavor from the coffee really enhances the chocolate flavor, makes these cupcakes even more richly chocolatey. However, if you don't have coffee on hand, you can use a cup of really hot water instead. It is important that the liquid that you use be very hot because this is going to help bloom the cocoa powder and give you that rich chocolate flavor that you're after. Now we're going to add this slowly and carefully because it is very hot, so you don't want to splash yourself with it. All right, this is looking pretty good, but I do want to take a second to scrape the side and bottom of the bowl with a spatula because sometimes thicker parts of the batter can sink or settle on the bottom, and we want this batter to be completely uniform. We'll give it one more stir. And this is looking pretty good. And yes, this is a super thin batter. It is supposed to be, so don't panic if yours looks like mine. You're doing everything right. All right, now today's recipe makes a lot of mini cupcakes. It makes 72. Actually, it makes a bit more than 72, but I usually stop there. You are going to want to bake them in a mini muffin tin that's been lined with paper liners, as you can see mine has. Now, the easiest way to scoop this super thin batter is to use a cookie scoop. I'm using my 1 1/2 tablespoon size cookie scoop, and I'm just going to fill the liners no more than 2/3 of the way full. I usually fill them between a halfway and 2/3 of the way full. If you make them too full, the muffin tops are going to kind of spread out on the top. It's going to be really difficult to remove them from the pan, and they're just not going to look quite as nice. Cupcake tops, not muffin tops. So you can see how I filled these. So now I'm going to take them over to my 350 degree Fahrenheit oven, where I'll bake them in the center rack for 14 to 15 minutes, or until the top springs back when lightly touched and a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean or with a few moist crumbs. These are looking great, so I'm just going to let them cool completely. I'll let them cool in the baking pan for about 10-15 minutes, and then I'll remove them and let them cool completely on a cooling rack before I go to frost them. All right, so once your cupcakes have cooled completely, here is where the caramel frosting from this week's earlier video comes into play. You're going to need a batch of that caramel frosting, and we'll just go ahead and begin frosting our cupcakes. I'm using an 846 tip today. I also like using the Wilton 2D. That one works nicely as well. Now these are salted caramel cupcakes, so we're going to use a little bit of fine sea salt over the top of them. And that is how you make these super cute, absolutely irresistible dark chocolate salted caramel frosted cupcakes. It's a mouthful, but they're so good. And you are gonna wanna keep them mini size because even though they're small, they're super rich. So this is the perfect size for these cupcakes. I hope you guys enjoyed today's recipe. And if you try this one out, please leave me a comment and let me know what you think because I always love hearing from you. Thank you guys so much for watching and I'll see you next time. See, we really make them mini so I can eat like 3 or 5 of them and not feel too guilty about it.